I watched a movie the other day, and I thought it was phenomenal. And I know it was phenomenal, and I know other people thought it was phenomenal because the entire time leading up to the movie, I'd be on my phone and I'd be getting these random articles, and every article was like, this movie taking new records at the box office. This movie got new awards, setting new records, new whatever. This movie going crazy in Australia. This movie going crazy in like everywhere else. This movie drops this place and everyone loves it. And what movie is that? Is Ne Ja 2. Which sounds stupid because it's not an English film. It's a Chinese film. It dropped in China on Lunar New Year, which was like 3 weeks ago, but they only dropped like in other places around the world various times later for some reason. So the other day, it just released in my local area, and I had to go watch it. And it was in the middle of the day, and I didn't even like particularly want to watch it initially. I never even heard about it until my mom brought it up, and she's like, apparently this movie is crazy. And I looked it up. I got a bunch of articles that all said the movie was crazy. I'm like, this movie's probably crazy. So I went to watch the first one. Ne Ja is the first one. It came out in 2019. I never heard of it. I never knew what it was. It's literally free on YouTube with ads, basically free. I watched it. It was pretty good. Of course, it's a Chinese movie, so when you watch it with the English dub over, which is for some reason forced over, I don't actually know how to turn on the Chinese version. It's kind of scuffed because English on a Chinese original, it's like watching anime dub, which is like exactly the same thing but worse. But I mean, the English version was fine. You got the message across. The whole animation was still the same. Everything was basically the same. It was a good movie. The animation quality is pretty good in my opinion, and it's not something it's not like blown out of the water or out of proportion or anything, but it's good animation. And then also the amount of sheer action that they pack into it is just steroid level, right? Because back in the day, I feel like animation was like the nice, calm, basic animation, which is what Ne Ja was. It was the nice, wholesome animation. But then when the fight scenes happen, they have the budget and the AI usage to make major, big animation visuals now that back in the day would probably be impossible. But now you can manage it and it looks beautiful. It looks fantastic, and the storyline is great. There's cultural integration, which I personally am biased towards because I actually like learning about like Chinese culture and whatever. But culture aside, it's still a great movie, great plot development, great animation, just overall engaging. These days, I judge a movie based by how much it engages me. If I watch a movie and at any point I think to myself, damn, how long is this movie? It's been a long time. That means it failed as a movie to keep me engaged the entire time. It means I'm not interested enough to even bother. I know a movie is good when I finish watching the movie and I don't even know what time it is. It could have been 10 hours, it could have been 2 hours, it could have been 30 minutes. I could have been whatever because I was just zoned out or zoned in on the movie. I was engaged in the plot and locked in, and it was just like such a good plot. I was invested. And that's what this movie brought me, investment. And like, it's I don't know when I became like a movie critic. At some point I lost my sanity, and like every time I watched a movie, I started judging it. And when you're a kid, you watch movies and you're like, wow, that movie was awesome, and you don't care because it's a movie. You just watched something, you did something new, and it was cool. But at a certain age, you're like, damn, that movie was not as good as that other movie. And then you start judging, you're like, that movie was alright, had this, that, and this movie was mid, it has this, that. But in a long time, I watched like a good amount of movies because these days I get really bored. And this movie, it was a good movie. It just like all around solid. And it's the first one, all those records I was talking about, is mainly the fact that it's not a US or like English produced movie, or it's not English language basically. I don't know the exact like specifications, but it's a Chinese origin movie. It went crazy in China, which is basically where most of the box office funds probably came out of. But it's still a good movie. Like, even if people are quote unquote overhyping it, right? It came like last time I checked, it's like number 9 in the box office of all time. So globally of all time, this is a top 10 movie, and I agree with it. Like, it's not a bad. Like, I think it would be difficult for anyone to hate on the movie. It's like all around. I think unless you're just really racist, I feel like it's just a really good movie. If you don't like the story, it is like kind of confusing at times. I did get confused at sometimes. At some point, I literally didn't know kind of what was happening, but like at some you know who's the bad guy, and that's kind of all that matters. And there's also a bunch of hella fight scenes, and obviously being a Gen Z zero attention span kid, everyone loves that, and that's where I think the director went and hit the jackpot. He's like the kid who understands children nowadays are growing up on TikTok, and he knows to get our attention, he needs a good story, hella fight scenes, hella jokes, just like everything packed together to make it good. I haven't watched a movie this good since like Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and that was a good movie. And I like thinking back, I can't use words to describe it. It was just a good movie, right? And this is a similar scenario, right? Even down to The Wire, it was like first movie, second movie, cliffhanger, second movie was a banger, and then third movie is like coming out. Like for parallel, the Spider-Man movie what was the first one? Into the Spider-Verse was the first one. I watched that movie on a whim at a random Airbnb because I had Netflix. It was alright. I was a kid, so I was just like, whoa, that was pretty good. I didn't think it was like crazy or anything, but it was a good movie. And then Across the Spider-Verse came out. I watched it with my friend in the theaters, and it was really good. It was really good, and that got me on the edge of my seat waiting for the third movie, which won't come out for another 10 years, I swear to God. But, like, it was a good movie, and I think they deserve the time to work on it to make the final product just as good. But No Ja is the same scenario. The first movie I didn't watch when it came out, but after I watched it recently, it was a good movie. You wait a little bit, and No Ja 2 comes out. It's a crazy movie. It blows the first one out of proportions, and the first one was already good. And, like, it sets you up for the third one, which will probably take, like, 30 years. But, like, who cares? It's a good movie, and, like, it's just, I want to watch it again, right? It's just, like, stuff happens, right? The story keeps going. Like, this happens, that happens, that cool action stuff. I'm running out of words to describe it, and I'm at the point where, like, it's hard to use words to describe what you watched. And, like, absolutely, I'm definitely glazing the movie by, like, an absurd proportion. But, like, it was a good movie. I haven't watched a movie that good in a long time, so... if anyone wants a good movie to watch, definitely watch No Ja 2. I've been telling my friends at school, if you die without watching this movie, you missed out on a solid portion of it. That's an exaggeration, but like still, it was a really good movie and I enjoyed it. So I have to permanently remember this moment, and I'm gonna try to remember this movie. Not that I have to try to remember it, I'll already remember it. Right? This is one of those movies that leaves an impact on me. But it was a good movie. Glazing, I think it's a good watch.